Hey guys, welcome back into another video, and today I'm going to show you guys my Ember Prime World on Fire build. As usual, if you want to skip to the build, you can check out the timestamp, it will be displayed on your screen right now. Ember is a warframe that almost everyone knows about. She's very easy to learn and very easy to play, of course if you have the right builds. She can basically destroy any star chart missions. Just press 4 and spam 2 and that's pretty much it. Before we go to the builds, I need to go through some housekeeping. However, for the case of Ember, there's nothing much that is really interesting or very intriguing about her. So for the sake of adding in, I'm just going to tell you guys some things about her and also to cover her abilities real quick. Ember is a really good warframe for cheesing, exterminate missions, defense, survival, interception, and pretty much in any kind of situation. The only reason on why I would use Ember is mostly because for syndicate farming, invasions, or maybe Void Fissure missions. Now let's go through her abilities. Of course, this is just for the sake of adding in. You can skip to the build right now actually. I'm just gonna quickly brush through them so I don't waste much of your time. So first of all is her passive. Whenever you're affected by heat damage, you will get 35% extra power strength and also 10 energy per second, as long as you're on fire of course. And how do you get yourself on fire? Well, it's either environmental damage or maybe napalm enemies. Moving on to her first ability, Fireball. It's self-explanatory, it shoots a fireball. Upon impact, it will deal damage and also it will leave behind a patch of flames. This can be charged for double damage and also doubled area of effect damage. And then we have a second ability which is called Accelerant. It is a buff and a crowd control ability. It increases all heat damage dealt on enemies by a set amount. Whenever you activate this ability, it will stun enemies and also enemies that are affected by Accelerant will receive more heat damage depending on the build's power strength. And then we have a third ability which is called Fire Blast. It basically creates a ring of fire and at the same time it also creates this expanding wave. This ability has a 100% chance to deal heat damage towards enemies, and also the expanding wall of fire, it can actually knock back enemies. In 2019, this skill is not much of a relevant or a very significant ability. For me, I would just use it to build flaming towers of, I don't know, because it looks kinda cool. And finally we have World on Fire. Ember's main attraction, one of the most useful abilities in Warframe. Whenever you activate this ability, it deals damage in an area of effect. When you activate this skill, you will see a percentage on the icon of this ability, and that percentage is what we call the overheat percentage. On the first 6 seconds of World on Fire, it will not overheat. It deals damage and the radius is just normal. After that, over the course of 9.5 seconds, the overheat percentage will slowly build up. As the overheat is building up, or what we call overheating, the range of World on Fire will gradually decrease. It will go down to 50% of the original range. Its energy drain doubles, and also the damage of World on Fire will be doubled. There are some tips and tricks about this ability, so I will explain it after showing you guys the build. And now this is my Ember Prime 3 or 4 FORMA build. It's quite of a min-max build, it's definitely not focused on survivability, so now let's go through the mods. First of all is Transient Fortitude, Augur Secrets, Umbral Intensify, and Power Drift. It increases the build's power strength. If you have a lot of power strength on your build, Ember's abilities will work even more better. The reason why we're using this many power strength mods is basically because of Overextended. That mod will contribute negative power strength, which is why we need this many mods to counter that. If you don't have Umbral Intensify, you can use the regular one as well. It's just that if you use the Umbral version, your build will benefit from extra 14% more power strength compared to the regular Intensify. And if you do actually use the regular Intensify, you will actually have enough space for all mods maxed out. Then the build will become perfectly 3 FORMAs. And now let's go over to the rank 3 Fleeting Expertise and Streamline. Of course, it increases power efficiency because Ember's abilities is quite energy draining in a way. World on Fire has this overheat state which will drain double energy when it's on 100%, and most of the time you'll be casting Accelerant a lot in order to buff your World on Fire's damage. So if you have a lot of power efficiency, then this build will work out pretty fine. And now, overextended and stretched. It increases the range of your abilities. It's important for Ember since her abilities generally requires a lot of range. You will need more than 200 range if possible. So that's why we have 235% range here, so that you have enough range to cover a big tile set, or maybe just to kill enemies more faster since you can cover more area. Especially when World on Fire is in its overheating state, the range is cut into half. So to counter that, you just need to have a lot of range in your build. And with this kind of range, Accelerant will basically affect more enemies in a bigger area, which is pretty good actually. And then finally we have Prime Continuity. Because of Transient Fortitude and Fleeting Expertise, duration is reduced in your build. To counter that, we can use this mod to bring back up our power duration. Of course, you can replace this mod with the regular continuity, but the build won't be as efficient as this. Of course, there are some mods you can replace here. For example, Augur Secrets to Firequake. Because there isn't any other mods that are suitable to swap out, the only choice here is just to sacrifice around 20% of power strength for extra crowd control. What this augment does is that when your World on Fire is activated, it has a 100% chance to knock down enemies, which is pretty good for crowd control. And also because enemies are knocked down, even the high priority ones like heavy gunners, noxes or bombards, you pretty much have a better survivability when you're using this mod. Now, as I mentioned before the build, I will explain more about World on Fire, so I'm doing it right now. Because this ability has an overheat state, in order to prevent this excessive energy drain, recasting is really important. Once in a while when your overheat percentage goes up, you should just recast World on Fire. This is applicable to low level missions because enemies have low HP, and when you have your World on Fire without the overheat state, you can pretty much kill them in 1 or 2 shots. When you have Accelerant, it's basically overkill. However, this does not apply to some missions, because some enemies in these missions have really high HP. Without the overheat state, it's really hard to kill these enemies. Basically, you're trading range for damage. And to be honest, it's not that big of a deal because you just need to move more in order to kill more enemies in a large area. With Accelerant, you can kill enemies more faster. It's just that you always have to cast it wherever you go. World on Fire also works well with a melee weapon, especially when you have a Condition Overload build. If you want to know how Condition Overload works, then you can check out the video linked in the description below. I have done an in-depth video about it, so you can check it out later if you want. And I highly recommend it because it's a lot of really interesting things. And now, finally we have Synergies. Arcanes is definitely Arcane Energize, which has a chance to provide extra energy upon picking up an energy orb. Since World on Fire has a high energy drain, and also you're always casting spells a lot because of Accelerant and the other abilities, this Arcane definitely helps a lot. And then for the second Arcane slot, you can choose any Arcanes that you want. It's up to you. And now for weapon synergies, as I mentioned before, any weapons with Condition Overload works well because you can take advantage of the guaranteed hit damage that you can get from a third ability or World on Fire. And that's pretty much it for the Ember Prime build. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you guys found this video informative, then be sure to leave a like, run a nice comment, and please consider subscribing if you haven't. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, you can check out my coffee page. The link is in the description below, so you can check it out later. Thank you again for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in another one.